Loads of messages are coming in about VAR, by the way. Keep those coming in, 81089. We'll read some of those out in a moment's time. But, of course, yesterday there was, how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games yesterday in the Premier League. Let's start off with the game that you was at. Craven Cottage, Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. What's interesting about this, I've got a note that says Højlund watch. I believe that you will literally play a cam in Højlund yesterday almost.
Yeah, what I've decided to do yesterday was sometimes clubs ask me to value a potential player for them, you know, give them an assessment of the player. And I thought I'd do that on Højlund yesterday. No one's asked me to do that, but I thought I'd do it just to sort of for this show, really.
I love that. No one's asked me, I've done it though.
Yeah, so the stats yesterday were poor for him. And you got to remember, this guy is 20 years old. You're asking him to fill a job that has been done by Zlatan, Cantona, Van Persie, Rooney. We're asking a 20-year-old to go at the top of the pitch for Man United and deliver, right? Now, there's some faults in his game. And I wrote these down yesterday as a sort of summary. So I'm going to read them to you, right? This is... Forget about all his stats, because his stats didn't really add up yesterday. He gets 1 goal in 3. So he's played 101, roughly, pro games, what I would call at professional level, right, at the higher level. And he's got 30 goals, so he's 1 in 3. But for a top player, his numbers don't stack up. He lacks aggression in combat, and that worries me for Man United. Like aerial balls, he struggles, and the first ball out from defence. Now, when a lesser team, that is a massive problem. For Man United, not so much of a problem, because they can get little circles and get themselves out of trouble. But he stays central and he stays high and he runs in behind a lot. But he doesn't go out wide, doesn't drift wide, he doesn't drift deep too much. And I think that's an area he needs to improve. He definitely needs to affect the opposition centre-backs more than he did in this game yesterday. And what I mean by that is, if you've got a centre-forward who's a young player like Højlund, my wife told me that's the pronunciation, she's Swedish. This boy needs to kind of go, right, I've got to get this physicality of this Premier League. Because yesterday it was an easy job for the Fulham defenders, it was. Yeah. And certainly now, if I was going to go back to Crystal Palace, I'd go to my 2 centre-halves, go really be strong on him, really go aggressive with him and cause him a problem and try and highlight this issue. So that's something he's got to get. On the positive side, he's quick.
Very quick.
He's great in the box. Every time United looked like they was coming down the side, he's got good movement. I can see why he's going to score goals. But this is a real big ask, you know, particularly this year, to ask this boy to lead the line at that football club. So I come away thinking, yes, great potential. But my other thing was, why have Man United taken him? That this, you should be taking the real deal, really. Man United,
who's scoring 15 goals in 10 games in the Bundesliga.
Well, there's a point in case there with Harry Kane, of course, who just can't stop scoring.
Another hat-trick.
But you compare him to Højlund, at Manchester City, and he's not nowhere near that level at the moment. Good game though yesterday. It was a good game. Fulham. For me, Fulham, with my Fulham hat on, needed to step on a little bit more. Thought they dropped an opportunity there. So that was just my feelings for Fulham fans.
What was really interesting was you looked at, say, Anthony, the battle against Anthony, and then similar for Fulham, Willian. Willian looks incredible.
Sharp again, isn't he?
Honestly, when Fulham came to Spurs the other week, I was watching. He's always caused us problems when he's at Chelsea, right? And obviously, what happened with him going to Chelsea made it even more ironic.
I think William's one of those players. When he's happy, he looks like happy. Do you know what I mean? He's obviously enjoys the club and he's enjoying where he's living or whatever. He looks a different player. I mean, at the moment, as you say, he looks sharp. He looked the one yesterday that might cause the problems. Yeah,
anything that looked good from Fulham came down from him. Yeah. I tell you as well, Robinson as well. I think he's a top player for Fulham.
No, Fulham got some good players. I just thought they could have stepped on a little bit when they tried a high press. Yeah, they did try a high press, but when they had the ball, I didn't think they'd hurt United enough. They didn't get at Maguire. They give Maguire and Johnny Evans fairly comfortable afternoon, I thought.
Everton won, Brighton won. Your mate Daishi, our mate, friend of the show, Daishi. I thought that was going to be a win for them. Threw it away, really.
61 passes first half, Everton. 414 Brighton. Wow. I think that relates to 17% of possession. I mean, you know, I think even if you're going to play a game on the counter and you're going to try and win it in let's just say in an ugly way, you got to have a bit more possession than that.
Yeah.
You know, that's completed passes, by the way.
That is a big stat there.
Yeah.
Brighton, of course, you know, they're looking good, but with this European football as well, and they've got a lot on this season. Yeah,
it's going to take its toll, and he said that, and I said that. I was in that position at Newcastle. I didn't have enough players. I think actually Brighton have got certainly a bigger group than I had at that time, so he's still going to suffer though. And Newcastle are suffering. They've got a couple of injuries, you know, and they got Champions League again this week. I still think Newcastle's season will be interrupted big time by this Champions League. It will affect them.
Especially with a cup run on the way as well.
Yeah, you know, and that's right. And but I still think they're going to have a great season, and they're definitely top four for me. And that, you know, when you look at who's chasing for that top four, that's a big shout.
It's huge. Burnley 0, Palace 2, of course, former club of yours, Palace. Back to winning ways. Burnley just can't seem to get a break, can they?
No. And they're still playing out from the back, and they're still putting the ball at risk. And Palace, that's the sort of game that Palace would eat up. And I fancied Palace to win there, and they did. And I don't think they played very well. In fact, Roy actually said that after. But sometimes, you know, you just do enough, and you've got enough nous in the team, and they had yesterday. And they got Ayew in the team, who's a very underrated player. Does brilliant for Palace, made the goal yesterday.
Absolutely. As well as the Manchester City thrashing of Bournemouth. A great diving header goal in that game.
How do you pronounce his name? Doku, is it?
Doku, yeah.
Doku, wow.
Wasn't he fantastic?
Here's a question for you. You ready? It was in the Sun today, the Sun readers. In this building, the Sun. 4 assists, right? He got in that game, Duka, right? And there's not many players who've done it, but 2 Spurs players have done it. One was Harry Kane. Could you name the other before the end of the show?
I'm going to try that.
All right, okay.
I'm going to keep thinking that on.
4 Arsenal players as well, by the way.
A lot of assists. But yeah, Manchester City, that looked like a gimme for me from the off, and it was just a matter of how many, really, wasn't it?
But he was exceptional, wasn't he? To have this player now. So you got all those little, you know, playing around the corner, you know, like street footballers like Grealish and Foden, you know, natural kind of talents, but not someone who's dynamic, who can go running at the fullback, inside, outside. You know, that is brilliant to have in your squad. I mean, Pep, he must be purring tonight. He must be drinking the most expensive glass of red wine tonight, thinking, lovely. You
know, even when they signed him, it kind of went under the radar a little bit. Like, no one was.
Well, I knew of him because obviously he's from Ajax, and he looks absolutely and I think Grealish got a problem. I really do, because I think that's him down that side for me. Doku, in most games.
He's a bit more direct, isn't he, Doku?
Well, he's just got that, you know, he can go past people.
There's a bit of Sterling in them, which they've been missing, I thought, since Sterling has gone. Yep. I think he's got a bit of both there, hasn't he? And, of course, Brentford 3, West Ham 2, your former club, who was 2-1 up. But
No. 2-1 up. And what a chance
to
go 3-1. And Antonio, my mate, I love him to bits. I managed him. I love him. What was he doing? Get out of the way.
There must have been a ruckus in the old changing room after that.
Oh, well, you wouldn't want to have a fight with Miguel. He's
a big lad.
Yeah. But is it Benrahma? Am I saying that name right?
Yeah.
Benrahma. Back at his old club, he had a tap in for 3-1. That's the margins of the game. And then Brentford, of course, are a good team.
Really good team.
Turned it on, drove. What I was saying, the good teams they get in that drive position. Got the 2 goals and won it.
You know, obviously with Manchester United under pressure, and Chelsea boss Pochettino, obviously with Chelsea going to Spurs tomorrow, etc. A few big jobs around, possibly. Thomas Frank, where does he rank?
He's in the conversation.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about him and Desabi. They're the 2 in that sort of below group where you go, okay. But the problem you got in the Premier League, even for the big Premier League teams, is to try and take someone out of another Premier League team.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive situation, that. And that's why they sometimes opt to go abroad, and it's a cheaper option.
Yeah.